Rest in peace to Tyron Woodley is all I'm gonna say. Rest in peace to Tyron Woodley, because I will never, ever, ever watch you fight ever again. You broke my heart into a million fucking pieces. And here's the thing, it didn't have to happen that way.
It didn't.
Didn't have to happen that way.
Do you really think he's gonna fight ever again?
Well, he made like 4 million. That's gonna look. Let me tell you.
Really, 4 mil?
I think he made like 4 mil. He didn't make like a gajillion.
Yeah.
Made like 4 mil. He probably made more on the side too. But in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another mother episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. You stupid sons of.
You don't cuss on here no more?
Oh, I stopped cursing.
Why?
Because I'm trying to monetize. I'm trying to pay bills. You stupid bags.
So that really does mess with the monetization.
Just only in the first like 10 minutes or so. Once the 10 minutes pass, your boy cursing up a motherfucking storm.
Frick yeah, dude.
Frick yeah, dude.
I'm gonna look at the timestamp and then we're gonna look back. Okay.
And then it's yeah, dude, fucking YouTube. Oh, I lost it. The lights are turning off right now.
He's like, in 5, 4, he restarts.
Yeah, that would be a tough challenge to not be able to cuss. I don't think I can because I think we curse too much.
Can't do it. It's not possible for me.
We're pieces of trash.
I've been
I cuss too much.
Yeah. It's just
I don't
impossible.
know though, because I work retail and you can't cuss. You know what I'm saying? So actually, I think I could probably do it. If I know that if you tell me, hey, you can't cuss for 10 minutes, I will be good.
But it's in the comfort of friendship. So it's too hard not to curse.
That's true. I cuss in front of my clients all the time.
Yeah, that's because you're a piece of
Yeah,
shit.
clients is different though.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And no one like really cares, so which is cool.
That's true.
No one's ever got mad at me for
You're
cussing.
Gary V, dude. You're even dressed like Gary V today.
I know. Look at you.
Dude.
You're gonna start fucking telling me to wake up and start doing more work and shit.
3 tips for success. Right now.
Do more work. You need to be posting every single day.
Give us your 3 tips for success right now, Gary V.
All right. Post every single day. If you're not talking to anybody about your business, you're failing. That's
not right. You would be post every fucking day. If you're not fucking posting, you're fucking failing.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's more like
don't
Gary
even
V.
ask me for advice if you're not posting every single fucking day.
There you go.
That's something he would say.
Number 2.
Don't be a cunt bag, as like Gary V style. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
Easy. Number 3. You should be posting more every single day.
There you
that's
go.
what all he talks about.
How come I talk like Gary V, but I'm poor? Tell me why.
I don't know.
Because you don't fucking post.
Yeah.
That's how he sounds.
Perfect.
He has that voice. You don't fucking post. I fucking cuss because I fucking want to.
Dude, I was watching. I just started following Gary V, and I've been binge watching his stuff. Like, his stuff is just pretty much just common sense stuff.
Yeah.
What a lot of people just have inhibitions, so they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But half his post is him just saying that you're a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. You're lazy. You're a lazy piece of fucking shit.
I think people are grown up with like abuse from parenting, so they need that from like a business guy just to tell them like, hey, you need to do this shit too, you piece of trash.
It's like the coach, like a coach on a sports team.
Yeah.
It's like that hard one, right? That's cussing. It's like pushing you, bro. That's why those guys are like this. Is you don't want the coach. It's like,
That's why none of Nick's fighters ever win, dude.
Yeah.
It's too nice.
I'm too nice.
I'm like,
and then the moment I'm not there, Heinrich smashes everybody. You know?
yeah, that's what happens.
Number
bro.
one.
Number one, brother.
You don't protect anybody, brother.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
What happens?
We start losing like with Tyron Woodley.
Oh yeah. See, this is what we gotta talk about, man. So we haven't talked. You know what? Rest in peace to Tyron Woodley is all I'm gonna say. Rest in peace to Tyron Woodley, because I will never, ever, ever watch you fight ever again. You broke my heart into a million fucking pieces. And here's the thing, it didn't have to happen that way.
It didn't.
Didn't have to happen that way.
Do you really think he's gonna fight ever again?
Well, he made like 4 million. That's gonna look. Let me tell you.
Really, 4 mil?
I think he made like 4 mil. He didn't make like a gajillion.
Yeah.
He made like 4 mil. He probably made more on the side too. But rappers be using money, dude. He a rapper now.
Hey, you see his music video?
He has a new one out.
You didn't see the one with
He
Let's
released,
Go Big.
Yeah, he released it right before the Jake Paul fight. And it had one of those like old school, like it was very like very 2000s, bro.
Yeah.
Like they had a little skit right before. And
that was
like,
way too long.
Yeah, it was way too long. And the skit had the name of the song is what?
Let's
Big?
Go Big.
Go
yeah.
Big. And then the hook is like, let's go big or whatever. I don't know. But then the whole time he's sitting with this guy, OT Genesis, who's another rapper who I don't really like personally.
He was like, I'm in love with the coco.
Yeah, I don't like that song, dude. Like that song is not catchy to me. I don't fuck with it. But he's sitting next to Tyron Woodley at a party in a nice ass house, of course. And he's
nice
like,
ass bitches.
Hey, yo, we need to go big, dog. We need to go big. And he's like,
oh my God,
let's go big. And he's like, let's go big. And they keep going back and forth. And then they get into the song. But that lasted way too long. And I think that's the reason why he lost the Jake Paul fight.
100%.
Yeah, well,
100%.
It's like he should have learned because he released
with that capital T.
Learned. Because he released, I forget which, I think it was right before the Kamaru Usman fight.
I'll beat your
ass. He released that song the day before and then got his ass beat.
You know what's funny? There was a really funny meme on Reddit on like the UFC page, and they were saying since Tyron Woodley dropped that song, he has not beat anyone's ass.
I know, 100%. You know what the thing is like the lead up to the fight was so good because Tyron Woodley was roasting the fuck out of Jake Paul.
He was amazing. And the face to face, I was like, I wish we saw this Tyron Woodley more in the UFC because he was hilarious.
He was killing him like verbally. He was great, fucking killing him.
And like super calm. Like Jake Paul had some good little jabs in there, like talking some shit. And Tyron Woodley handled it very well and threw it right back at him. And I was like, wow, that was very good.
Was it Dr. Pedro Diaz?
Yeah.
Yeah, all your fighters are kind of sucking right now, huh? What's going on?
Paige
Van Zandt. We'll talk about it later on this podcast too.
He just needs more time with them, honestly.
But see, here's the thing. So I'll put this out on Twitter. I was so fucking mad and people were like, how dare you talk to a former UFC champ? I was like, dude, he's one of my favorite welterweights in the history of the UFC.
Yeah.
All his fights were fucking bangers, just knocking people out. So you don't say shit to me about Tyron Woodley. I was disappointed as a fan, right? Because when you looked at this fight, right, and here's the problem too, he put it out there. He's the one that said, I have never been able to let my hands go. That's why you guys haven't seen what I can do as a boxer, right? I'm going to start using my jab more. I have these combos. You guys haven't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
This fool threw like 6 jabs throughout the whole fight. And by the way, when he did throw his jab, he connected.
Yeah.
And he chose not to do it. He is so worried about getting knocked out. Yeah. He's mentally fucked. He's like too worried about looking cool now.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't get touched by this kid.
And that's the part of the trap, right? When you fight a guy like Jake Paul, it's not really about the fight anymore. Because obviously on paper, Tyron Woodley knows he could smash this fool if he wanted to, or whatever the kid, right?
Like if it's a normal fight. Yeah.
Yes. But if you're scrapping with somebody that's just boxing, I think it's kind of similar to the Logan Paul fight as well with Mayweather. It's like Mayweather didn't want to take any chances because it just wasn't worth the risk.
What's the point?
But Mayweather still did enough to make sure he won the fight. And I just think Tyron Woodley just didn't do that.
And it's weird too because Jake landed big shots on him and it didn't really seem like it affected Tyron. At all.
You know what the fight will look like to me? It looked like one guy who was clearly going to beat the fuck out of another guy, but the other guy just happened to be a little more active, being Jake Paul.
Yeah. That's it.
And Tyron Woodley just didn't pull the trigger, man. Yeah. And that's why it's so frustrating because you know, even in the boxing context, Tyron Woodley was going to knock him out.
Yeah.
Because as we watched Jake Paul box more, we realized that he's just good. He's a subpar, below average
amateur boxer.
Boxer.
That's what I said when we did our show right after that. I was like, after I watched this fight, it wasn't like I was like, damn, bro, Jake is good. I watched that fight being like, damn, he's really not that good.
He's sloppy. He's all over the place.
I was actually shocked how sloppy he was.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, I think he does
crossing,
constantly
clanging against each other.
Stuff like he was trying to do fancy footwork that he doesn't know how to do, which I was shocked at because I do think he really does like the sport, right?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that when the level of competition rises, all of his stuff just starts to crumble.
Yeah, you start to see how bad he actually is, even though Tyron wasn't doing anything. Yeah. You could tell because all those other fights he knew I bet you in his head against Tyron, he was pretty nervous. Like he might knock me out. Those other 2 fights, Ben Askren, the other guy, he knew he was going to walk through them. So he just went straight forward, knocked him out quick. We didn't really get to see it. This fight, he knew he couldn't really do that. So we got to see who he actually is. You saw that weird thing where he'd stand up straight and be like, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like he was so bad, but I was so mad because on our show, I was like, it doesn't matter if Tyron shows up that night, he wins the fight. If he does, he still wins the fight, right? I'm like, bro, like I was so mad.
It's just weird because in the first round, so Tyron Woodley comes in, he just starts swinging wild, right? Which shows, he's not scared to throw. So which kind of led me to believe that he was going to put on volume.
Yeah.
So like I said early on, when he threw his jab, it was working. But in this context too, he didn't even paw out his jab to even set any other shots
Nothing.
up. What we found out about Tyron Woodley, he literally only has one shot, and that's his overhand right. Didn't throw jabs, no combos, nothing really to the body except for occasional cross to the body here and there, which by the way, it fucking connected, jackass. Like he didn't do the stuff that was working. And the weird thing was too, is that when he did a double pump fake, guess what? It was the overhand that connected up top to Jake and basically knocked him down, but the ropes kept him up.
I was wondering,
which is a knockdown.
Yeah.
If the ropes keep you up, it's
do the ropes normally have those
the little strips in the middle?
in the middle?
Yeah.
Do they?
For boxing, they do.
Oh,
Even
God.
kickboxing, they do too.
Really? Fuck. I always feel like I used to see videos of people just
going
flying
right
through the
through,
ropes.
yeah.
I think it might be later, like newer.
Oh, okay.
But I do remember them being there pretty often.
Look at that shit though. That double pump fake. He double pump fake. Bow! Hit him with that overhand. It's like, so, okay. So you realize that these fakes work, right? And once again, I'm not saying this as I'm a boxer as well, but somebody who's been watching boxing now for years, it's like we could tell what works as a viewer. And you guys can too. Yeah. You've seen it. The fakes works. Volume always fucking works. You can't just have one punch. They know what's coming.
Enough volume needs to work.
Yeah.
Right. And it's he just didn't pull the trigger enough. And even with his MMA career, right? He's never been a big boxing combination guy. He would always just kind of wait for that big shot. And if he didn't land that big shot early, the fight would be kind of relatively uneventful, right? Unless he got a takedown or unless something else happened. And that's why, like in the Wonder Boy fight, there was a lot of moments where, it's just nothing happened. Damian Maia. And you would watch Damian Maia fight Tyron Woodley, and you're like, dude, just knock him out. Because it's like you're stuffing the takedown. You eliminated the threats, which is great. Perfect. But what else
do something.
Yeah, you have to do something a little bit more, unfortunately.
That's what was crazy too, is after he hurt Jake and they separated and they went, he just went back to the middle and just stood there.
Which was so weird because, dude,
I'm like, bro,
Jake was seeing stars.
Yeah.
It's like, he's seeing stars. His eyes were like slightly glazed over. He was like wobbling. I'm like, and he just started to swing his arm like this, showboating, doing a little Nate Diaz type of shit. It's like, you just need to throw a few more.
If he just threw a couple straight shots down the middle, man.
Did you see at the end of, I think it was like the third round or so, he actually threw his one straight right and it connected at the end of the round.
And that's the thing. It's like, especially with MMA, well, at least with these guys, the guys that fought, it's like just throw more straight punches. The overhands are great, but like at a certain point in time, you have to just change the angle a little bit. And if you want low risk, high reward, your straight shots are always going to be
there. And it's easier to land an overhand when your gloves are this big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when the gloves are bigger, I mean, it's easier to block that shit. And yeah, that was my thing. I was like sitting there yelling, like, bro, just fucking throw.
Yeah.
And like he would cut him off.
Yeah.
He would cut him off. And when he has him cut off, nothing. He would just let him eventually circle right back down and get his space. And I was just like, bro, Tyron, come the fuck on. I was so pissed.
But the one good thing that we know about Tyron is that at least he's consistent across the board. Like even if he's fighting a fucking trash can like Jake Paul,
he's gonna be boring no matter what.
He's just not gonna throw enough. But fuck, my fingers are crossed. I was so confident, bro. Tyron Woodley lost me money.
You know what the crazy thing is too? Guy's fucking 40 years old, right?
Yeah.
Faster than Jake Paul.
Yep.
He's way faster than him. Like substantially faster. I was surprised at his speed.
Yeah.
But then when you look at it, look at his fucking MMA stance when he's boxing, dude.
Yeah, that was another thing too.
Flat-footed as fuck.
And the one thing I was hoping for, I was like, I was hoping that Jake Paul would throw combinations. Tyron Woodley would just block, and just throw one down the middle.
Yeah.
Or something right after. But even off the counters, there was nothing there. And I was expecting him to take advantage of that. Because if one thing that Tyron Woodley's really good at, he's a pretty good counterpuncher.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's in his skill set. But he still didn't pull the trigger enough on the counterpunches. And I was like, dude, if you're going to knock out a guy like Jake Paul, it's going to be through the counterpunching, right?
Yeah.
But it was
just not see it
disappointing.
coming.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too with him. Like he just wasn't a boxer.
Yeah.
And, people can say as much as they want, well, he just started boxing. That's not what he said. I'm doing it based on what he said in these interviews.
Yeah.
He says, I've been boxing my whole life. You guys just haven't seen it. So,
and when he said that, didn't we all feel way more comfortable?
Yeah,
We were
exactly.
Like, hell yeah. Like,
So
I bet
you watch the open workouts. He's throwing these long ass combos and shit.
honestly, in the open workouts, that shit made me nervous.
yeah, little short punches.
Like,
nothing
it
really
was just
extended.
like, he just didn't look very smooth. Like, it didn't look like, in the beginning of his camps, I felt like to me, he looked a little bit better on the pads and the rhythm and all that stuff. But his mental confidence was a lot better towards the end of the fight camp.
Yeah.
But his skills in my eyes, like to what I would see, I just was like, I don't know.
Also, too, like it was very representative with the way he did his pad work was how he was throwing to in terms of how short his extensions
Boom,
were.
boom.
Like
2
this.
punches.
Like these short
3
little.
punches.
Yeah, it just wasn't. By the way, too, if you guys don't know, when I looked at the stats, Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, same arm length, same reach, same fucking reach.
Yep.
So
Just Jake is just a little taller than him.
that's all that it is, and that kind of actually works to his advantage, especially if he knows how to, if he would have changed up the angle in which he struck him, like legit, because of how fast he was. If he would have just stuck that jab straight down the pipe in the middle, he would have cracked him so easy all day.
Especially after the lame ass jabs that Jake Paul was throwing out there. That's when you throw that overhand. You just time it, boom, over the top, because they weren't really doing anything. Like, at no point in time did I ever feel like Tyron Woodley was in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think what fucked with his head was that he got touched.
Yeah.
But
You're gonna get touched.
You're
no
gonna
matter
get
what.
touched, dude. It doesn't matter if it's Jake Paul or fucking CM Punk or whatever. If you're standing in front of a guy, your intent is to knock somebody out. That's just gonna happen. Like, I was watching a bunch of old Nick Diaz fights, right? Because I'm excited for him to come back. This dude, he takes a couple shots, but his eyes are right on you, and he's still touching you while
Even
you're touching
Floyd
him.
gets hit.
Yeah.
Floyd gets hit. It's like it's not, even if it doesn't matter if it's a guy that's just on the street, he might still fucking hit you.
Yeah.
Take one, give two.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing that Floyd does, right? He'll get hit, but he goes, all right, I'm gonna make you pay for that. And he does make you pay for that.
Hey, best example of that shit, Triple G, baby.
Yeah.
Look at Triple G,
Got
gangster.
Cracked by Canelo, slow motion, eyes
still
still
open.
the whole time. Pink, comes right
Counter.
back.
Yeah.
My thing with Tyron is, why wouldn't you just come out aggressive? Like, in my head, it was like, you really think you're gonna win a decision here? Like, do you think they're gonna let
actually
you
thought he
win?
won.
Yeah, it's like, but do you think they're gonna let you win a
Honestly,
decision?
I thought he thought, in my mind, like how I was scoring in my head, I was like, oh yeah, Tyron Woodley won.
He did more damage. He did the most damage in the fight because Jake, landed here and there, but he was just kind of running around and he got really tired towards the end. But
They're not going to let him lose.
that's the whole thing. It's like just
Ohio,
boxing. It's boxing. We see it all the time. It's corrupt. There's these decisions where you're like, what the fuck? You really think they're gonna let their cash cow right now lose a fight
in his hometown?
Yeah,
bringing
it's like,
all this money to Ohio.
I did this event. I was filming for my friends that have like a golf thing, and one of these other guys was from there. He's like, man, I hate when he says that shit. He's like, yeah, he was born in Ohio. He's like, but he's not from there. He's like, you go down there, no one fucking cares about Jake Paul. He's like, no one
you can tell
fucks
by the
with
crowd.
him. Yeah, and that's when there was someone on the crowd saying like, oh, I honestly, like, there sounds like there's a better reaction for Tyron than there is for Jake out here.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he was saying. He's like, trust me, people out there don't fuck with Jake Paul like he's making it seem. Like,
Nobody does, really, right?
It was just, who else was on that card besides Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley?
Amanda Serrano.
Serrano, yeah.
Amanda Serrano.
Did you hear what Jake Paul's trying to do now?
He's trying to put Amanda Nunes after her, right?
Yeah.
Man, Nunes beat her ass, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Like, that's
who knows anymore.
Well, that's the thing too. It's just boxing is just a different set of rules.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's also when you come play their game, just because they have a little more time under that sport and that rule set, there's a lot of nuances, especially when the lights are on.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're boxing in the gym. That's a totally different thing. But once the lights are on, then you kind of revert back to, and that's how I feel about Tyron, right? He just went back to what he does, what he knows. And it's not, I don't think he just had enough time to prepare mentally and all this stuff for the boxing fight. It could have been more optimal. Was he effective? Yeah, probably, but he could have been more optimal if he had more time.
Just mentally fucked up, man, and especially because with the Vicente Luque fight, if you guys ever watched that fight, he got his ass beat by Vicente Luque, but at the same time, he was cracking the shit out of him.
He was doing good.
But it's just Vicente Luque is just known to have the thickest skull on earth.
He's down for firefights. That's all his fights are firefights.
Steven Wonderboy broke both of his hands on his head.
He got a big ass head, bro.
Exactly.
He got a big ass
He hit
head.
him with the hard overhand, connected, and then Luque was wobbled, but he still stood there, and I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
But it's just what it is,
But I think
man.
it just depends on, I think the selection of fighters that we've had go to boxing is why we're getting the results that we're getting.
He's also not fighting people his size either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you see Anderson Silva, he's doing good.
But Anderson Silva, dude, look up just him sparring a pro boxer at Wild Card.
That's what I'm
Freddie
saying.
Roach in the corner, just running circles around this guy.
It is funny though to see him and Dana, Jake and Dana have their beef, and Dana's like, hey, Anderson Silva's free. I don't hear you calling out Anderson Silva, Jake. And Jake just tries to play it off and shit and go to another fighter.
Because he wants Jorge. He wants Jorge Masvidal.
But it's like, bro,
I don't think he wants that either.
We could tell that you're scared of Anderson Silva.
Well, he just saw what Anderson Silva did.
Yeah. And
to a pro boxer.
Mhm.
And then, Tito Ortiz looked like shit, dude.
I mean, that fight, we knew it was going to fucking happen.
But the thing is like, Tito does have a pretty good chin. Like, he's pretty durable. If there's one, thing you could say about Tito, whether you like him or not, he's a pretty durable, tough, he's a dog. He's going to go out there and always do his best,
He's
right?
built like a Lego. That's why.
Exactly.
Look at him.
He got no neck.
He has a big head.
He got a big ass,
big old
head.
dome, dude.
Yeah, it looks like one of those statues.
But what the fuck was he thinking going out there doing what he was doing?
He only threw looping shots.
But it was just like the sequence that he got knocked out with was just like what?
he was like tap. His wrist was like this too. He's like tap, tap, and he got fucked up. Like, bro, what are you doing?
I think he really thought he was just gonna dirty box him and just catch him in the back of the head, or just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to control this fight, be the bigger guy, right? Yeah. But it's like, you must have forgot who Anderson Silva is.
Bruh,
and he was looking for that setup the whole fight.
Mm-hmm.
He was looking for that weave overhand, and he almost landed a couple times in the last one.
I think Jake's calling out Jorge heavy because he knows that Dana White's not gonna not let him do it.
Of course.
That's why he's calling him out heavy. Dude, so he can be like, see, I'm not scared. Let me fight your striker.
Listen, Jake, just hit up the grandpa Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Just beat up the grandpa, man.
Yeah,
beat
him up.
Just beat him up. Dude, the way he put it on Julio Chavez Jr. was nuts. And I'm like, this motherfucker is ready to box.
He should fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
That would be great. You should take who Anderson Silva lost beat. That'd be fucking fantastic.
He'll probably choose fucking Tito and go knock out Tito. But
I would like to see Oscar De La Hoya versus fucking Jake Paul.
That'd be great too. I would love that shit,
dude.
Yeah,
dude. TRT Vitor,
dude. That fucking short hook landed flush.
Yeah,
it was hard. I couldn't see it because they had it from the back when you were watching the fight. I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, how did he get? He's like, he didn't hit him that hard, and then you see the replay of the actual angle.
Perfect shot.
The hardest little short hook, dude.
Yeah, the turnbuckle went through the rope.
I remember when I first, because I didn't watch the actual fight. When it happened, right? I watched it afterwards, and at first I saw the highlights, and I'm like, it looked weird to me because you saw it from the back angle, and then Tito's down there, and it kind of looks like he's smiling, and I'm like, and then the whole thing with him doing these weird little taps, it looked like they were timing because Anderson was going down, so it was like 1, 2, and 3, and then he came over, and I was like, but then you watch it in slow mo, you're like, oh no, Anderson threw on him
hard.
Like he threw hard ass
hug, dude,
and knocked his ass out.
Rotated around him, and then bink, one more. I'm like, Jesus,
he just makes it look so easy.
Yeah, I think if Jake's smart, he fights that Fury guy. Because I remember talking. Makes sense. I was talking to you about it because I had never seen him fight before.
Did you watch the Fury guy fight?
I did watch him fight. And I was
he
like,
sucks too.
Oh, he's not.
Does he suck?
Yeah,
I thought he was pretty good. I didn't see the fight though. I didn't see the fight.
I don't want to say.
I heard he was pretty good.
He doesn't suck, but
he's not as good as you think he is.
Him and Jake is a good fight.
Yeah,
it might be like a good fight. It makes more sense for them to fight.
The levels are equal.
Yeah, the levels I think are more equal. I think Fury probably has better footwork because watching Jake fight Tyron, he was tripping and he was crossing his feet and clumsy. But I think that's a better fight, for Jake. I think it's a smarter fight and
it's gonna be fun.
It kind of gives him more credit because he's fighting an actual boxer, but this is a boxer that he could probably actually beat, I think, personally. But I hope he fights Anderson because Anderson's put him on his fucking ass. And if they give him Jorge, I think Jorge does work with his fucking ass. But that fight won't happen.
TRT Vitor Belfort.
That fight too. But even that, dude,
That was.
I kind of like, man, I'm like, Vitor, what are you doing, bro?
I mean, if you look at this, so if you guys don't know, so Vitor Belfort is the first UFC heavyweight. No, he's the youngest. The youngest UFC heavyweight champion. So he's been around since like UFC fucking 1. For crying out loud. When they would allow
he was fighting in the 90s.
He had shoes on.
Shoes on. People were like biting each other's chodes, and it was like it was completely okay.
But low key, they were.
Yeah, they literally
joke, but also true.
Yeah, it was cockfighting. It was human cockfighting. Yeah. That was actually highly accurate back in the day. But this man. He was supposed to fight Oscar De La Hoya. So Oscar De La Hoya actually caught COVID, which, by the way, Vitor Belfort is on gear like a motherfucker.
Oscar De La Hoya got saved.
Yeah.
Because he would have got fucking smashed.
I still think his video, he kind of looks like he's in the office or the hospital bed. He's trying to look up, he's like, te queda que COVID. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you actually sick, bro? Get the fuck off your phone.
I love COVID.
Yeah. I was like, bruh, but yeah.
Yeah, so he caught COVID, and then Evander Holyfield decides to step in.
Of all people, too.
If you guys don't know who Evander Holyfield is, he is the man who got his ear bitten off by Mike Tyson, considered one of the greatest heavyweights in the history of boxing.
Hey, David, how old is Vitor, would you say? Estimation?
About like maybe 44.
How old is Evander Holyfield?
58, damn near 60.
58 years old. The fight was scheduled to be in California. But the commission, athletic commission,
hell no,
was like, no fucking way are you gonna get a last minute replacement from a guy who's 58 and who hasn't fought in 10 to 12 years. Okay, so what do? They go to Florida. All good. They moved the entire event to Florida to allow these guys to fucking fight. That's how crazy this whole thing is.
Bro, so I had heard rumors, right, that like Evander was gonna fight Mike Tyson again. Right.
That would have been a disaster.
Yeah. So it's like, all right. And when they first announced it, I was like, oh, maybe he's been training for Mike Tyson. He might look fine. But then when the open workout video came out, I was like, bro, this needs to be ended. Like, this needs to not happen.
So sent it into the group chat. And I'm like, this is not real. Yeah. This is not real. He can't even lift his elbow to throw a hook.
Yeah.
And look what happened in the fight. If you watch and we call him TRT Vitor because he's on so much steroids, it's unreal.
Yeah.
He is jacked out of his mind.
They did a comparison picture of before he was on TRT and then when he got on TRT and then when he stopped being on TRT to now. And he looks just like the way he did physique-wise when he was on TRT. Because there's no fucking way he's not on gear. And why wouldn't you be on gear?
Yeah.
Of course.
What are they going to test?
Yeah.
And so literally Evander decides to throw the best hook that he can, and he spun around like a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon.
I thought he got dropped.
I know.
And he fell through the ropes, right?
Yeah. It looked like it, but he just threw his weak hook because something's wrong with his shoulder.
Yeah.
His shoulder is fucked up. Threw it as hard as he could.
60, you know?
Yeah. Or he's 60.
With years of experience in boxing, decades.
And then he spins around like a little cartoon and goes to the ropes. That fucking broke my heart, dude.
Yeah.
Evander fucking Holyfield.
If you guys pay for the Triller event, just do anything else. Just give your money to David.
Yeah, please.
Just Venmo David, okay?
I beg of you, please.
Don't spend money on these events because this is not okay.
Yeah, dude. When I saw the open workout, it almost kind of made me feel like sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, bro, really? Like, this is the fight they're going to have? Like, Evander obviously is going to lose. Like, there's no way. You see the difference in the open workout. Vitor's over there doing these fucking like long ass combos and moving good,
hitting hard as fuck, dude.
And then Evander's like,
really fucking
Evander's like slow ass cross to the body, slow ass hook. I'm like, bro, you are joking me.
This is what they need to do. They need to level the playing field, give Evander like 3-month cycle of fucking gear, and then run it back.
No, but he looks in shape, dude.
By the way,
that's just good genetics.
Evander Holyfield, age, like his face of a 60-year-old, body of a 35-year-old.
Why does he look younger than Oscar De La Hoya?
I don't fucking know. Coke.
Because my boy Oski is out here just wilding out.
Coking up.
I don't think he started training until right before his fight.
For real. The happy snow, dude.
But honestly, though, Triller fights are fucking garbage, dog. You want to like, it's the equivalent to like the Met Gala, dog.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck is the Met Gala? And what the fuck is Triller Fight?
It feels so cheap, right?
Yeah,
it feels like a low end, like
all it is for views and clout. That's all these fucking events are. And it's like, okay, this is fine. But then look what's happening. Evander Holyfield, who wants to watch a 58-year-old former pro legendary Hall of Fame boxer fight this Brazilian dude, MMA fighter who's on all the gear?
All
like,
the
what is the
testosterone.
point of watching this fight?
Like, legit, he could have died.
He could have died.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why California was like, no, thank you, bro. Take that shit somewhere else.
That should show you something. If Florida should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
Like for letting that shit
that's
happen.
not brand,
bro.
though. That's not brand with Florida. Like
So they fought in Florida?
They fought in Florida.
Of course.
It literally last week got changed because
Hard Rock Casino, right?
California was like,
Have you heard Evander Holyfield speak in an interview?
See, that's the other thing.
It's like crazy.
This guy has no business getting knocked out again. Like, why is he putting himself through this?
Him and James Toney, if they had a conversation, you would need the translation with like the bouncy ball on the bottom. That shit.
it's like Pixar's little thing is jumping up and down.
Dude, there was like a clip of, it was like a simple question to Evander Holyfield. It's like, so what do you think you're gonna do in this match? I'm coming around. We're just going like for like 5 minutes straight. And who is gonna let this guy box?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Triller is.
Triller is, of course.
What the fuck is Triller, dude?
A Chinese company. They don't care.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the slogan.
We don't care.
Triller, I don't care.
And then the bouncing ball.
Yeah. Somebody can die. Hey, I don't care. Bring it to
It is weird, right?
But how much money are they even really making, right?
Who knows? This Chinese company, dude, they're making something off the back end, getting everybody's information, CCP shit. I don't care.
What's crazy about, I don't know why it makes me think about it, but the whole I don't care thing. You saw the new thing with Demetrius Johnson?
Oh,
his next fight?
Bro, he's fighting Rod Tang.
In what? What rules?
So here's the thing.
MMA kickboxing rules.
First round,
lit.
First round Muay Thai, second round MMA, third round Muay Thai, fourth round MMA. With the fifth one, I forget what
I don't even know what the fuck. I don't even give a fuck.
But so they can only do Muay Thai one round. The next round, they can do MMA.
Well, second round, he's going to get eaten up.
This podcast is brought to you by Vivino, my friends. Do I love my Vivino? Do I love my wine? Listen, I don't know much about wine, but Vivino makes it super easy. Vivino is the world's biggest online wine marketplace. They're also the largest online wine community with 50 million users who have rated and reviewed just about every wine. Let me tell you something. I love myself a little Sauvignon Blancs, a little Merlots. You know what I'm talking about, a little Chardonnays. Yep, and their app is everything, has everything. You need to know about wine. Listen, if you don't know crap about wine, Vivino is going to be your best friend. All you have to do is scan a bottle when you're shopping, and you can see what Vivino users have to say about it. And the reviews are super dope too, because it goes into descriptors that I understand. I love it. I've really stepped up my wine game thanks to Vivino. Give them a try, and I know you're going to love it. Go to vivino.com/brain and use code BRAIN at checkout to save 20% on your first order of up to $200. That's vivino.com/brain, code BRAIN to save 20% on your first order of up to $200. Vivino.com/brain, code BRAIN. See site for details. Terms apply.
Nah, dude, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I'm in for this, bro. This is
kind of cool.
This is lit.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when I was starting to like compete and stuff. They used to do these events where they would do first round boxing, 3-round fight, first round boxing, second round kickboxing, third round MMA.
That's like bully beatdown.
That is
bully beatdown, huh? They would do the same shit,
Yeah.
but it was lit. Like, bro, the best fights would happen. Like, because it was so fun. Because you get a guy who's a boxer, and you're like, oh shit, he's fucking this kickboxer up in the first round, and then second round fight would completely change. Third round, and then just see what happens. But usually the MMA guy usually wins if they can make it to the third round. But sometimes they don't make it to the third round, and it's like dope as fuck. Especially back then.
This is gonna be
that is
crazy
bully
fight.
beatdown.
That is literally bully beatdown, dude.
Wow.
With Mayhem Miller.
Yeah. That guy just got arrested again for domestic
abuse or something.
Yeah.
Wait, first of all, who's the girl that ended up with him?
I have no idea.
Who the fuck looks at Mayhem Miller and goes, this is a guy I want to be with? What the fuck?
Hey, girls out there are like fighters, man.
It sucks because it's like you can tell it's all those guys back in the day that just couldn't get it going.
Yeah.
Except BJ, because BJ got it going, right? He was the champ, but they're just like Stephen Bonner's went wild for a while.
Stephen Bonner, he was trying to get more painkillers, right? And then,
they try to hold him because they found out that he had abuse, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They had signs of abuse and they tried to hold him. And then he started flipping out and had this whole thing.
It was crazy because I saw a little bit of it. He was saying like, my doctor won't see me. I ran out of my painkillers, but he ran out of his painkillers way too soon. It was like,
so like, this will last you 2 months. He's like, all right, I'm back from They're like, sir, it's been a day.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, they were really effective. Thank you.
They
I don't
really
even know
were.
what the fuck I am.
great. Thank you.
But Stephen Bonner Stephen Bonner lost to fucking Tito Ortiz
That's true.
in like Tito Ortiz's heydays, like when it was all over.
When he was fucking scooping up.
I never liked Tito.
Nobody liked, actually.
You did, didn't you? You little
I
fuck.
hated Tito. No, all the people that I used to train with that like really liked Tito Ortiz, never liked them. They were usually assholes.
I hated Tito
like,
Ortiz,
who liked
man.
Tito, bro? Like,
Dude.
nobody liked Tito.
When the fucking big bellied Iceman came through and
Oh my
beat his
God.
ass,
That made me so happy.
so happy.
You know what
dude.
made me even dislike Tito more is when he knocked out Chuck Liddell when Chuck Liddell was like fucking almost 60 years
when
old.
he was Evander Holyfield.
Yeah. And then the way that he celebrated, like he celebrated like he just won the gold medal in Olympics if they had it in
bro,
MMA.
you would celebrate too if this guy beat the fuck out of you your
Yeah,
whole
but
life
not
and then you
anymore.
eventually knocked it out. You're like, ah! It's like beating a boss in a video
I was
game.
a little
You would get
disappointed in
smashed
Vitor Belfort because after he beats Holyfield, he's like, "Fuck yeah!" I'm like, "Come
Yeah.
on, guy."
That's the juice, though. That ain't him. That's
for
the juice
sure.
talking, though.
and
you
his
know?
pimples started popping on his
But it's
face.
true.
It's like-
But I
His
feel
balls
like
shriveling up.
Yeah.
I understand Vitor, but at the same time, it's like, bruh, like why? Why?
Hey, that's Boha, though. That's Boha
Why are you
energy
fighting?
all day.
Why are you fighting this guy, dude? You know what you're gonna do. Like it's like, I don't know. To me, it's just weird as fuck.
all these fighters are getting fucking weird, dude. Fucking Conor McGregor, my favorite. You keep
Dude.
disappointing me. This will try to assault
MGK.
MGK,
Who
Machine
gives
Gun
a
Kelly.
shit, though, huh?
because that's a fight that he can actually win. Aha.
This will be hating
this
on
guy
Conor
hates-
McGregor so
He's
much,
too
bro.
crazy, bro. He's too crazy. He's too wild with his
This one came up to Megan Fox and asked, and was like, "Hey, let's take a picture." And then MGK just puts his hand on him, and she goes, "Nah."
That's what happened, huh?
That's what happened.
Ah.
So MGK kind of had it coming to him, I guess. This is what I read. Like he just came up, he goes, "Nah," and he like shoves Conor, and Conor's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
You know?
So
That's
then,
wild, bro.
if that's actually what happened, MGK, you're a fucking idiot. You deserve to get your ass beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So I was like,
Because you're at the front row at all these fucking fights.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's like come through.
And apparently, like, there was all these stories about how Megan Fox was saying how, like, she's a way bigger fan than he is. Like, he don't really fuck with UFC, apparently. But
Also, too, who wants Megan Fox, dude? Her fucking pussy probably has teeth in it.
But
how
like,
about
why are
who
you?
wants MGK?
Yeah,
There
But
you
what
go.
is the appeal of MGK?
it's like MGK. Really, you over here pushing like any fighter? Like, bro, you
Have
can
you
get
ever
your
heard
ass
his
fucked
music?
up.
Is his music any good?
You know, he's actually a pretty decent rapper. Like,
Is he?
Yeah.
He can
You know-
rap. He raps
Hey,
fast. It's pretty
let's
good
let's
flow.
not forget that he's the only one that challenged Eminem, and his shit was not bad. His diss record wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
It's just
wasn't.
Eminem was better.
I mean, he got murdered, but
Yeah,
he
But
wasn't that
it's
bad.
also Eminem. Like,
Yeah.
that's his wheelhouse. Like, if you're going to
MGK's
talk
diss
shit,
track was not bad,
Yeah,
man.
no, it
and
wasn't
there's
bad.
two white guys is a fair fight, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
100%,
Like, he can
dude.
say everything he wants to
The
say.
culture appropriator battle,
Yeah,
dude.
bro.
That's what
but
it
like
is.
it's like, bro, don't go. You're pushing Conor, and then the pictures you can see MGK's kind of just like
Yeah.
it's
He's
like, bro, yeah, it's Conor McGregor. Like, don't
even
get,
with his busted leg, he will
Yeah.
fuck you up.
Hey, but
dude.
also the thing about Conor you have to respect is that he's trying to fight everybody. He fought an old man.
Oh, that's
he
right.
fought an old man, bro. He fight a bus, bro. He tried to fight bus. He tried to fight MGK.
wanna
you
know
know-
why? Because an
What?
old man he can win. A bus won't
That's
fight
before
back.
Habib, though, bro. That's before
Bus
Habib.
won't fight back.
Habib broke him, dude.
Yeah.
Habib literally broke him, man.
Well, it's also like I think he just broke himself. Like cocaine is a hell of a drug, dog.
I just think it's this, and we see it in any weight division. You can only get so far with just having some punching power.
Do you agree with Habib's comment about Jose Aldo?
I don't.
Well, what did he say? He said like Jose Aldo probably won't have a second prime.
He goes,
made
there
it
is no second prime. He was basically saying you saw him beat Pedro Munoz and you think that he's getting better. He's not getting better. He doesn't have a second prime.
I think what he said is kind of like it is kind of out of pocket. But if you ask me if I think when he beat Pedro Munoz, yeah, that was great. But did we all expect him to beat Pedro Munoz? Yeah. Do I think he's going to beat Peter Yan if they fight for the title? I don't think so. I think you have a good shot, but I really don't think Peter Yan is like Peter Yan has all the advantages on his side, right? But is Jose Aldo like still growing into 135? Yeah, definitely. Is it kind of a hot take from Khabib? Yeah, maybe, but I don't really think it's that out of pocket, you know. But what Jose said about Khabib was quite interesting. He kind of clapped back and was saying, well, you know,
everybody's going to lose eventually. You chose to leave before you could lose.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which, you know what?
Kind of
the same way I feel about that is the same way I feel about Jose's comment. I was like, oh, little out of pocket, but kind of true.
Yeah. like they both had fair.
Yeah.
And I think Khabib would agree with that.
Yeah, because how many title defenses does Jose have? 10 or 9?
Yeah.
It was he didn't lose in 10 years, by the way.
Yeah. Like before Conor knocked him out, he was the pound for pound number one.
Yeah.
Like it was like him and John Jones going back and forth every year, right? But they were both those guys were the most dominant guys at that time. And anybody that would fight them, you would already be like, oh yeah, Jose got that shit. You know? But when it comes to like, and they try to compare the records of Khabib's first guys and Jose Aldo's first guys, which is kind of a fair argument. But at the same time, it's not really, because you look at the resume of guys that Jose Aldo beat, it's just also different eras.
Yeah.
Like the guys that Jose beat on his come up it was such a different time. The sport was still evolving. Khabib probably beat the guys that had more an evolved modern day MMA game.
Skill, yeah.
You know, so it is a little different, but they're both right. Like I think there's truth in what they're both talking about, but I do want to see Jose Aldo do well though. Like it is exciting to see him do very well at 135.
From that first Peter Yan fight, I thought he was winning until he got finished, and then he just gassed out. I mean, I still think to this day, like, yeah, if he would just had better cardio in that fight, he probably could have won it. But that's the thing right now is like Yan is younger and he has, you know, time is on his side to grow and get better and get faster and all that type of shit. Jose Aldo doesn't really have that. But I honestly, like, even seeing TJ fight this last fight, even though I thought Sandhagen won, like, I think Jose could still maybe take it. I mean,
he's only 32.
Yeah.
He's still fucking young. People forget that, dude.
Yeah. See, even me just saying what I just said, you forget that he's only 32 still, actually. So, yeah, I think Jan's 30 or 31.
Yeah.
He's like almost the same age, right?
But styles really make everything.
Yeah.
Right? And you look at Jan's style, like he could take
hard hits,
a lot of damage because he knows how to fight in the pocket. So whenever someone's fighting him, he could absorb a lot, and a lot of them are glancing blows or hitting arms, but he knows how to roll punches and counter, and he has a very versatile game.
Yeah, he stays very blocky, right?
Yeah, and sometimes he'll just be like, all right, go ahead, throw. Mm-hmm. And he did that with he knows how to survive in fights. And he did that against Aljo and eventually just beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Until
that fight too.
Until he hit him with the fatality.
His boy right there, dude.
Yeah,
Aljo.
But also it's like when you get a guy like Jose, if those guys Jose were to fight Peter Yan again, I think 8 times out of 10 Jose loses, in my personal opinion. You know, and it's not because Jose is like not that good or anything like that. I just think the style kind of feeds more to Peter Yan. I just think he's the more efficient fighter at 135. And
Peter Yan was very surprising with his trips and his takedowns.
He slept on, bro. Like I really think he's very underrated.
I was talking mad shit about him too. Oh,
yeah, like
I want to see Jose and TJ.
That would be amazing.
That's the fight to make.
I think, because Jose just won, TJ just won. I think if Jose can beat TJ, I think he can be the champ.
You know, and shout outs to TJ Killashaw Thrillashaw for coming off a 2-year no fight stint.
Yeah.
And then showing that type of performance, even after he's tore his knee in the first or second round.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Nuts.
Like literally tore his knee.
He got that shit
up.
ripped, bro.
Yeah.
Corey Sandhagen, he hooked the fuck out of him. I was like, oh, that's it. When I saw that happen, I was like, oh, Corey Sandhagen won. And I kind of stopped watching the fight a little bit because I was like cooking and stuff and I was doing stuff. But I kind of took my eyes.
Like a bitch.
I know.
Dude. You have an apron on, dude?
When people like, get in the kitchen, bitch. It's lunchtime.
You were cooking
what would you like to eat?
You were cooking the steak, rice, and veggies.
Yeah, I know. Shit, dog. But yeah, so like, I really did think, oh, TJ, the fight's done. Yeah. But he came back and he hung in there.
And he was still moving.
And he did what he needed to do to win. Like, you may not agree with the decision, but he still did enough. And Corey Sandhagen didn't really address some of those positions as best he could have.
How do you like tear your knee and still move like that? That's
I think it's just the adrenaline, bro. Like,
that shit was crazy, dude.
It's just the EPO, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man, we got to let that go, man.
Because honestly, like,
different man.
You know what just made me re-mad again? Because we were talking about this at the shop. We were sitting there talking about how Nick Diaz is coming back and shit. It's like, bro, He was suspended for 5 years
For weed.
Yeah.
TJ got 2 years for admitting to taking something to cheat. That is the scariest thing, to have better cardio and to recover more.
Different era too.
2 years for that. He got 5 years for weed.
I can't believe they didn't overturn that shit in the first year.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's probably because Nick Diaz was like, fuck it. It just didn't.
True.
I'm sure he could have pushed it. Like, I'm sure there was ways he could have worked around, but
he just wanted to complain instead.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm really excited. Maybe he needed those 5 years off. Maybe he just needed to take time away.
I'm nervous.
I'm super nervous,
Diaz,
dude.
Bro.
But the thing about the Diaz brothers, right? It's like their best attribute isn't their speed. It isn't their
endurance.
It's their endurance and their mentality. Like those guys, like you look at Leon, right? When Leon fought Nate Diaz,
oh my God,
I was like, Leon is gonna beat the brakes off this dude, and he did up until he just kind of chilled when he wasn't really supposed to, and Nate Diaz made him fucking pay for it. Right,
the hardest cross ever, dude.
Yeah, and how many guys do you think would be able to pull that off in the 5th round when they're getting their
nobody
ass beat to be able to just be like, oh, I'm gonna put it on him and try to still finish.
Yeah,
and he could have won that fight too. He wasn't fucking around.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
if he wasn't being a Diaz brother.
Yeah. If he wasn't being a fucking Tyron Woodley. The whole thing that makes me nervous about Nick is just like a couple years back. I remember we had talked about it when it happened, but there was a video that came out of him sparring boxing. He got fucking flatlined.
Yeah, that wasn't him.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Listen, we have all been there, and there's a weird stigma around therapy, but you guys have to understand, I've been doing therapy for a very long time, and I've been using BetterHelp, and BetterHelp has been really, really great for me because I'm always on the go, and sometimes I need that little mental health help. BetterHelp is great because my therapist is, it's available. You can even start communicating in under 48 hours, and trust me, my friends, it's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's actual professional therapy done securely online. There's so many great things about it. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they can even make it easy for you to change therapists if you need. So for me, when I had my first therapist, she was okay, but I decided to just switch it up and give it a go, and I found a therapist that matched for me, and I've been sticking with the same therapist for quite a while now. So my friends, visit betterhelp.com/genius. That's better, HELP, and join the over 2 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. Special offer for my Genius Brain listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/genius. Once again, that's BetterHelp.com/genius and get 10% off your first month.
It was him.
And
he got flatlined.
You're just like, ooh. And I remember watching that interview with him and Ariel Helwani. We talk about James Toney and shit. Man, like, I get anxiety trying to listen to him talk. I'm just like, it makes me move. I'm like, bro, just speak. Like, you're like, bro. Like, but then he's still fighting, right? And he's been away for a long time. He's older. Well, he's like 37 now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Robbie Lawler, I think it's the best fight that he can come back to because Robbie is older too. But my whole thing, but my whole thing is he has been more active though, at least.
Robbie still has a chin. Robbie is still tough as fucking nails. It's just he's slower.
He's just
not as active.
Yep.
And
one of the funniest things people said was when he fought Kobe Covington. He goes, till this day, I think Robbie Lawler's still bobbing and weaving. Just kept doing this.
But that should show you something. He can still move, though, man. He was sitting there just doing this for 5-minute rounds. But Nick was smart with this because, they worked it into it's a 5-round fight.
Dude, fucking, did you hear recently, too, that there was a person who was transgendered?
We watched this shit.
Yeah.
Bro.
That fight, did you watch it?
Yes, I did.
It's awful.
It's fucking terrible. And look, here's
the best example of like why this can't be a regular thing, especially their kid. Like this, I think her name was Alana, right?
Yeah.
And Alana's, she's the transgender MMA fighter. She fought in the promotion Combate Americas, and she fought this French chick. I forgot her name.
Again, shout out to that French chick.
She was pretty good.
Fucking fight.
Like she was piecing it, Alana up like all day. But before she transitioned, she was like a special forces. Like She was huge, jacked, bro. Huge.
You can obviously,
and she got tribal tattoos, so you already know what this dude looks like, bro.
Most
Terrible tribal tattoos.
Steroids too.
Like he was stacked, bro.
Yeah.
He was stacked. And then when she transitioned, she like obviously lost some muscle mass, but she looks like a pretty big person.
I watched this video.
She ain't weak, you know?
There was this video of this, it was a podcast because it just had popped up when you searched it. It was like, it's like a transgender and a lesbian girl that have a podcast. And, you know, I was like, oh, I want to see what, you know, their perspective is. And they're like, they think how we all think.
Like, what the fuck?
She was like,
I think most most people in general in the trans community would agree.
She was saying, she's like, you know, there's no scientific proof to show how long it takes to lose what you had from being a man, right?
Yeah.
Especially bone density.
Yeah, but that's what she said. She's like, but what we know is she's like, look at her arms. She obviously still has the fucking arms from, you know, back then. She's like, you can tell that her hands are still big from back then. Huge. She has way bigger joints than her.
Yeah.
And she had said, she was like, look, this isn't like a sport like us transgenders go into like soccer where it's like just skill, you know, endurance and skill. She's like, this is a sport where you're going to literally physically hurt somebody. You're trying to hurt somebody. She's like, it's just not fair, especially because of how long she was a man for. And I'm just like, you know, I couldn't agree anymore. And it's just like,
well, she definitely saw that fight. That's why she saw somebody who was way more skilled than her, piecing her up. Didn't do jack shit.
What just landed one punch?
Yeah,
one punch.
And
that's
you
all
could
it took.
See, and that's
the body shot. And she was like, oh, and the fact that this chick was tough.
It's a man.
Yeah, she was like, oh fuck. And bro, like you said on We Out Here, and he mentioned that when she got cracked with the first overhand, her face was like, what?
When she got cracked, she literally went,
oh fuck.
She was like, what the fuck was that? And that's when you could tell, like, yeah, obviously Alana, she has no striking skill at all because that other girl was beating her the fuck up. And she tries to use that excuse. Look, she beat me up the whole first round. I'm like, yeah, it's just because you suck.
Yeah.
But once you finally just landed something, she was like, oh my
Any
fucking
shitty
God.
shot.
And the thing is too, right? It's like she said something like
She could have died.
yeah, like that's not
The
safe.
takedowns too.
Yeah, the takedown was just like strength.
It
The
was just
choke,
pure strength. Like there was no technique to the takedown. She was just like, all right, I'm done with you piecing me up because I can't strike. It's like, holy fuck.
And when it comes to a sport like MMA, right? Obviously, the goal is to kind of destroy the other opponent, right? But then on top of that too, it's like this is in a position where you could, if you're a transgender woman, why not fight other transgender women that want to fight?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's other transgender women that want to fight and that want to live out that dream of being an MMA fighter. I don't think that should be taken away from them. But at the same time, it's like
it should be in a league of their own.
Because that's probably the only way. Like in any other sport, like soccer you brought up, that probably wouldn't be able to happen because just the amount of people that are transitioning that want to play soccer probably gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So you won't be able to have a whole other separate team. So it makes a little more sense there. But
darts, do darts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, darts is low-key fun, bro.
and Alana, the transgender MMA fighter, she was saying, I want to carry on the legacy of Fallon Fox. And Fallon Fox was another famous transgender MMA fighter
that was murdering women.
Murdering the fuck out of people. And then she got knocked out, stopped fighting.
Yeah.
Never heard from her again. But Alana says, I want to carry on the legacy of Fallon Fox.
There was no legacy.
And look, I understand if you look up to somebody who has been in your shoes, because I'm sure it's a tough position to be in. Like I can never understand. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you should feel, what it should be like. But that does make me raise an eyebrow when I hear someone say that. Especially if you are amazing at your craft and the skill in the sport of MMA and you're going to go out there and fight other women, that's one thing to be said. But Alana doesn't look like she even cares about training. Like she's obviously on a skill level, not taking this seriously.
Yeah.
And she's just using her attributes to win fights. And at the end of the day, she's going to find someone that's going to knock her the fuck out. But there's going to be a lot of other women that are going to fight her until that happens.
I never thought that I would ever see an MMA fighter that looked worse than CM Punk.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, it was terrible.
CM Punk would light her ass up, dude.
And CM Punk should not win. Like if CM Punk had that skill and he fought someone of the same skill level of the French girl that Alana fought, CM Punk would have got fucking destroyed if you fought another guy.
The thing in the video I was talking about that I thought was, was pretty like intense and like, like the big point of the video. She had said this, the transgender girl that was talking, saying, she's like, I just think it's a little weird and it's a little selfish how, she was in the army. She was a man all the way up into 2010, I guess is when she transitioned. She's like, but you never wanted to be an MMA fighter before then? She's like, all of a sudden you transitioned to a female and then you wanted to be an MMA fighter?
Yeah.
She's like, I think that's a little selfish and I think that's a little weird how once you turn into a woman, you want to start fighting women.
You know what happened? Somebody said to her, if you can't beat him, join him. And she was like, bet. And she's like,
So it's like, it sucks. I mean, because like, obviously you don't want to offend anybody and shit, but in these situations, this is a sport where you can kill somebody.
100%.
And it's like,
and if you have an opinion on this and you think like this should happen, because I did go on Twitter and I wanted to see what the consensus was.
Yeah. I never seen anything
and
else.
a lot of the tweets that were talking about this was like, yo, this is fucked up. And if you feel like this is okay, just watch the fight, and then you just, because it's a very visceral feeling, right? Like when you're watching something like this, you get like, I was kind of getting emotional, bro.
Hell
like,
yeah, you feel a certain way about that shit, dude.
I was watching this with Tiff, and she was like, yo,
getting horny and shit.
Yeah,
dude.
like she was getting boned up, bro.
She's like, all of a sudden, she grabbing me, and I'm like,
I was like, babe, like I'm like, babe, come out right now.
So, do you see this murder happening? She goes, I know.
Yeah,
She's
and
like,
she
she
kept
gonna
calling
be
me a
next
pussy.
champ.
She was like, do something about a pussy. And I was like,
get
what?
that apron on and cook me some hamburger
Yeah,
patties,
I'm
bitch.
crying, and she's like trying to, yeah, bro.
She's like,
It's
go
crazy.
cook the same dinner again.
Yo, but then Tiff was like, yo, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
She was like, this is fucked up.
I just remember finally watching the fight, watching the first round, right? The girl's getting pieced the fuck up. And I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, it's not that, that they're both this way and this other. I'm like, oh, she just fucking sucks at striking.
Yeah.
She can't strike. But then when you watch the second round comes around and you see one of those takedowns and I'm like, oh, well, you could see the strength right there. Because that was a horrible takedown. She just picked her up and threw her. But then she landed that overhand. And I looked at the girl's face that got hit. She was like, I'm like, okay, no, this is like dangerous,
And
bro.
she took a lot of shots.
Yeah.
Like
and
she
every
took a lot of
body
shots.
shot, you can see that she was trying not to show it, but every time she got hit, she went,
yep, that's a man.
I'm like,
that's a man.
This,
is a
bro,
man.
this French chick is, I really feel bad that I forgot her name, but she was tough as fuck.
Celine.
Yeah, Celine.
Or
And the
something like
fact that,
that,
she fucking signed up to fight.
That's why I said,
Hey, hats off, bro.
all props to her because she knew.
At the end of the day, if you're a female fighter and you want to beat the fuck out of her, go ahead, fucking do it. If you feel like you could fight and the competitor in you is like, yo, I could beat the shit out of this person, fucking go for it. I'm not going to tell you one thing or another, but do I feel like it's okay? I don't know.
I don't think so. Not if you saw the reaction on her face.
Did you hear the commentators? They were like, they did a good job. They were like, they were talking about the struggle of the transition. They were telling her story, but they were like, I don't know if this is right, you guys. Like, I don't know what to think. And they were just being honest because it is a very, like, you kind of feel troubled watching it. Like, you feel you don't feel good. You don't feel excited the way you watch Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley.
Exactly. And the whole thing is that for the people that are for it, and maybe they're mad at people not being for it, but it's like, you got to remember, this is brand new in our sport. Like, this shit don't happen. So you can't expect everybody to be on fucking board with this shit, right?
Yeah.
If it's gonna be okay, it's gonna take a long time.
And
for
the
this
people
shit.
that are okay with it, they just don't know any better.
Yeah.
They've never done the sport. They probably never played really any
They
sport.
probably never
just
got
been
hit.
Yeah. But also too, it's like, I train with a lot of men and women. And it's like, even the women will tell you, like, yeah, there's a difference.
There's a difference in strength,
there's
no
a big
matter what.
difference.
Especially like, say like someone that's like strong like me, or like Bart, or
Not
like
that
people,
strong. Yeah, not that
people that like power.
This fool looked at me and didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like people that are strong. Like
I was like, Bart's not even in the room. Why do you even bring it in?
Hey,
Bart,
let me
he's
tell you
not even
something.
here.
I've been called fat. I've been called a loser. That right there hurt a little bit.
Hey,
man.
do you see how he did that? He was like, like
I'm
strong
saying
like
is-
me, or like, Like Bert.
I've never been so offended in my fucking life,
Yeah,
bro.
bro.
This one said
Hey,
strong
Alana,
like.
if you want to win another
We need
fight,
to play that back. You need to look at the fucking his eyes. He was
Yeah,
strong
bro.
like.
You see the disrespect
fuck.
out here, y'all?
That's disrespect. Yo, get the fuck out of my house.
nah,
was like,
hey,
damn,
David,
bro,
David's
like-
strong. I've seen David deadlift before.
Hey, let me lift a little bit.
Yeah, but we working on it, all right? We're trying to get to our best self over here,
Bro,
bro.
none of us have worked out in like 6 weeks, bro.
Hey, speak for yourself, bro.
All right,
been in
us
the
two
gym.
haven't worked out in like 6
Hey,
weeks.
I was in the gym
bro.
with David last week.
Hey, I haven't worked out in like 6 weeks, bro.
Hey, Gilbert. Hey, let's talk about this shit right now. What's up with the fucking weight loss challenge, bro?
And
think
hey
I
guys,
got
so
it.
this wraps up this episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. We will see you guys next time, every Thursdays and Sundays up until next year. Next year it's only going to be once a week, but for
Yeah,
now, Thursdays and
motherfucker.
Sundays, you can catch Nick at Nick the Ear. You can
Yes,
catch
sir.
Alex at Lift God 3 Fs
Let's
forever.
go.
You can
Yeah.
catch the
2 Fs.
MMA podcast with Gilbert.
We out here.
MMA, baby.
MMA, baby. And we'll see you all next time.
Baby's gonna be on
Bye.
soon.